So we are
ready to go.
The show is all yours as soon as you want it.
Fantastic. Gabe's ready in the back. Mike, are you ready in here?
I'm ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Glass Half Sports. I am one half of your hosting duties, as always, Nick Huffman. Today is June 23rd.
23rd today.
2022. We are officially in year 2 on the fastest growing sports show on Facebook and the rest of the internet, folks. As always, I am joined by my co-host, Mike Mensing. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing well. How are you?
It's been a good week.
Good.
Short week. Didn't have to work on Monday, which is good.
Happy Juneteenth to
happy
everybody
Juneteenth
out
to
there who
everybody
celebrated.
That got the chance to celebrate. Little, frustrated still because that comment that kid made just kind of sticks in the ribs. So, I mean, I'm going to try to avoid.
It's okay. You're getting old.
No, I'm not. Can we not do this right away today?
We'll wait 5 minutes.
All right, fair enough.
And then we'll do it. So we do have a big show, as always, for everybody. Unfortunately, we were looking forward to having Arif in studio today. Something came up in his life. So obviously, Arif, take care of stuff, and we look forward to having you on, hopefully here soon.
Yeah, sometime before the Viking season starts.
So we're going to go Talking Twins to kick off the show today.
Yep.
We're going to go NBA Finals recap.
Or the Mike was right segment.
NFC East predictions. We're going to have to go through that dumpster fire of a division. And then Hot Corner when we have time towards the end. Are we doing a card giveaway today?
No.
Okay.
You know why?
I don't know why.
Because nobody signed up for it. We open cards every week that are worth money, and I'm just going to start selling them because nobody wants me to just give them to them.
Yeah. I mean,
I'll buy them.
$1,000 card, nobody could share.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Right? Jeez.
So
holy smokes. But yeah, Mike, if they like the show and they want to share this with their friends and help us grow, because obviously the bigger we get, the more that we can give back to our fans. What platforms can they find us on?
As always, guys, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, Spotify, YouTube, Patreon, and Twitch.
Are we on Twitch?
We have a Twitch account.
Yeah.
We need to start uploading to Twitch. I need to start uploading to Twitch.
There you go.
Actually, that's something I want to gauge the interest on a little bit. So
how about it?
The games I specifically play typically are going to be more so sports games, obviously aligned with the show. So right now I'm playing MLB The Show quite a bit. I play Madden quite a bit. I can, if you guys would like to see me break out like adventure games. Like I can play FIFA, I can play The Witcher, I can play Red Dead Redemption 2, whatever you guys would like to see. Let us know in the comments.
Glass Half Gaming.
Glass Half Gaming.
Yeah, just
let
let
us
us
like
know.
that.
On behalf of the people, we want you to play, Mike.
Yeah, oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
We want you to play.
This man is probably one of the greatest sports gamers I've ever seen. So for those of you that may need that little extra push to push Mike towards Twitch, just go ahead. Tell him to get on Twitch.
He seemed like one of those guys who plays Madden and goes for it on like 4th and 32 or whatever every single time, so it's really fun.
Oh, I'm the
like,
exact opposite.
Fair.
Yeah, Mike,
I'm the exact opposite.
Mike plays it like he's an NFL
If it's
coach.
4th and 1 and
That's
I'm on
how I
the
do it.
opposite 40 and it's a 57-yard field goal early in the game, I might just punt it and put you right in the corner.
Yeah. Oof.
Mike is also the guy that when he's up by 50 after playing the right way all game, will run to his own end zone, juke you out all the way coming back, and still score the football.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
And then if you can't get us on social media, you want to just sit on your couch and watch us on cable.
We are pretty good on big screen. I watched it in my living room.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, actually. Saturday nights, 10 p.m. on MCN 6 in the Minneapolis, St. Paul, Twin Cities surrounding area. Yeah. I get it in Anoka, so you guys should be able to get it pretty much anywhere in the suburb.
And if you're not in Minnesota, just go to Roku and download the MCN 6 app, and you'll be able to find us there.
Yeah.
There we go. All right, so let's get things started. We haven't checked in on the Twins in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, we had our free-flowing episode last week. Unfortunately, the Twins didn't come up. There's a lot of people that are calling for Rocco's head right now.
Not surprised.
Thoughts?
Not surprised. Like, there's plenty of talent there. And I understand the argument for the mismanagement of the talent. But I think if you're going to do Rocco like that, you also have to kind of look at Falvey and Levine or whatever, the managers of the team as well, because there has also been, I think, a lack of accountability in moving pieces at appropriate times. Like in baseball, it kind of has to be a revolving door. When you have talent, you have to do one of two things with it. Find a spot for it on your roster, or move it to fill a spot on your MLB roster that you don't have locked up right now. And the Twins, have so much stagnancy in that area. We've talked about it over the last almost month now with their infield. They've got an abundance of infielders.
They do.
Austin Martin, Royce Lewis,
not
Jose
many outfielders
Miranda.
nor pitchers.
Exactly. So why are we stunting the growth of a guy like Austin Martin who's stuck in AA ball because there's a lot of guys at AAA ball or fringe MLB players instead of moving maybe some of the guys you could do without because Austin Martin's supposed to be an absolute star and filling out our pitching rotation and making a run at playing competitive baseball at the MLB level, which takes us all the way back to your argument the other day of how do the Twins begin to put butts in seats? You win ball games. You have an interesting team that people want to come and see.
I agree. I would say it just lends to the mismanagement of like what happened with Royce Lewis this year. It was clear that they didn't really have a long-term plan with Correa, knowing whether or not he was going to be coming back or actually with us for the duration of his 3-year contract.
Yep.
With that leaves Royce's future completely up in the air. They're trying to get him on the MLB stage because he's an MLB ball player. And now they're forcing him around different positions. He plays center field and gets hurt.
Yep.
That injury would not have happened if he was playing short.
I would agree.
So,
or third.
To me, that's the lack of a long-term plan. And obviously, long-term plans can switch because of things that happen. Situations are situational.
Yes, they are, Mike.
However, you need to have a long-term plan in place and execute that plan. Like, this kind of goes back to an argument that we've had many times. I think your long-term plan needs to be maximizing your winning window and having a 4 to 5 year winning window.
Yeah.
With that in mind, you try to win every year.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
If the opportunity presents itself, don't step over $10 now hoping that you're going to find a 20 on the street later.
Agreed. But put yourself in a position that you can hopefully pick up $10 bills along the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So it all lends to mismanagement, and I think that's higher than Rocco.
Yeah, like I said, I think Falvey and Levine have a lot to do with it.
Right. Rocco himself, so did you know that Rocco Baldelli has the 3rd best record in the American League since taking over the Twins?
It doesn't surprise me at all. And it's
so
actually...
Are we going to truly improve if we go somewhere else?
No. That being said, I also think that there are good options in the Twin system as far as maybe hiring from within, a guy that we will maybe have on the show at some point, in Toby Gardenhire, who's got a lineage of coaching acumen.
It's literally in his blood.
It's in his blood. And then you've got guys like Madden and, you know, the guys that just got canned. But I do honestly, I think it's a GM thing.
Yeah. And
but the unfortunate part is the GMs, much like when you talked about Spielman and Zim, they're tied together.
Typically.
So if you're going to get rid of one, you kind of have to get rid of the other.
I would say
unless you find a perfect fit for what Rocco then wants, empowering him as your head coach to find him a GM that he likes.
I would say they're less tied in baseball because typically managers are more so lineup setters and clubhouse morale guys than they are making moves. Like the NFL head coach typically has a little bit more free reign than an MLB manager. So I wouldn't say they're as tied. The funny thing that I've noticed is the phenomenon with Rocco is consistent every year.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the year, we pitch pitchers 4 to 5 innings, maybe 6. Everybody's up in arms. Why did we take them out with 75 pitches and then we bring in a reliever that throws away the game?
Yes.
That has happened every year.
Oh, yeah.
And now that we're starting to get deeper into July, who was it that pitched the other day? I think Joe Ryan got to 101 pitches. Now that they're getting deeper into the season, their arms are stronger, they're used to that workload. He's allowing them to go deeper.
Sure.
So it's just interesting to see the dynamic. Fans get really upset early in the year because pitchers aren't going long enough. They go longer as the season progresses.
Yeah, but as they're going longer now, our results are worse.
The thing is, though, it's still that long-term plan, right?
I totally
162 games. You have to let Joe Ryan get to 100 pitches now, even if he blows a game. So when you are in October, he can get to 115 and hopefully close it out.
Totally agree. But like with true aces, which is what the Twins have missed forever. Sometimes if you go out onto the bump early in the year in inning 5, and he goes, no, I got 3 innings left in me. I feel great. You let him throw the 3 innings. You have to. Progress is consistently testing your boundaries to find out where you fail and where you fail forward from.
Whether or not I agree with what Rocco's doing, all I'm saying is it's
Right.
been the same phenomenon.
Yes.
Right. So it's just interesting that other fans haven't caught on.
Right.
That what's
Can
up,
I
Gabe?
interject one thing here because
Sure.
there's something here that I'd like to hear Mike's take on, but because I hear what you're saying and I have that same sort of a conservative mindset with pitchers as well, like, work them into it, build up the arm strength. I was a pitcher and all that, so it's like I kind of get it because I do remember pitching spring training type stuff and whatever. You get raw fast but nothing is really. I've never heard anything that definitively answers for the 4-man rotation. Why did we do that for 60 years in baseball? The 4-man rotation was absolutely sufficient.
It was.
They threw tons more innings. I believe that it's like a belief thing. Like truly, and I know the game's more specialized.
Yeah.
I know, but there were dudes who threw 95 back then too, man. Like they absolutely did. Have you ever heard any
Yeah, I think to be honest, my take on that would be that baseball as a whole has gotten soft.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It's gotten almost too analytical. Like, oh, Joe Ryan, now that you're in the 7th inning, your fastball has dropped off 4 miles per hour. We need to take
Exactly.
you out. It's like, no, he's still striking guys out. It's at 91. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
And that's when I'm sure, Mike, you can relate to this. Like, that's when, as a pitcher, I felt best. Like, because you've been pitching for 5-6 innings, whatever. Like, your feel. Like, yes,
You don't notice the 4 miles per hour drop. It actually feels looser and smoother.
You're
and
more
the ball
accurate.
is still blowing right by the guy. So
Or
why does it
even
matter?
Yeah, or like even if you were a little bit diminished, you knew the batters, you knew their swings, you
Right.
knew what your ball was doing that day. Like,
yes.
you know
what
it
stuff
was-
you had in the bag
Yeah,
and what you didn't. No, I agree with you. I think and I think it's funny because a lot of teams have almost toyed with the 6-man rotation versus going back to a 4-man. But you want to talk about how to, I guess, best implement young pitching? Like, think about it. In the playoffs, how many pitchers do you use? 3 pitchers,
Typically 3, maybe
Maybe
4
4.
if you're like close geographically and you're playing those back-to-backs.
So, I mean, I would side with Gabe on this. I believe in having a 4-man rotation and then having a young guy
As
in
that
your
swing
bullpen
5th.
as your swing 5th. And if your guys' arms are tired, he gets a start.
Yeah.
If one of those guys only winds up going 2 or 3 innings because he's getting shelled, that
That's
guy
the guy
comes
that-
in
yeah.
relief. And that teaches that young pitcher then how to pitch in clutch situations
Yep.
or how to, tighten things up or come in tight spots or whatever. Like I 100% think that the 4-man rotation is a better option than 5 or 6, but I agree with Mike as well. I think it's a lot of these guys are and sabermetrics is a big part of it.
I
Is
mean,
a big part of it.
and this isn't even against Buxton himself, but the way that they're handling Byron Buxton
Yes.
is soft.
Yes.
and then I've got one more Twins thing to throw in.
Yeah.
If you're all right with it.
Have at it.
You said yeah. Okay, so here we go. So I think there's a player who needs to be shouted out that I think is just fucking incredible. I'm starting to fall in love with him, and even on your Twins discussion, I feel like we are in a position where, like, I think the Twins have some of the most exciting talent in the major leagues.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
what you said about Joe Madden, that actually pinged me where I'm like, oh shit, he might be a great manager for
He
this
does
team.
really well with young
Yes.
teams that are ready to pop.
Think of the
Think about those
Rays.
Rays teams. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
And man, that could be great actually.
And we talked about it. I don't think he necessarily needs to come in and be the manager or the coach or whatever. He needs to come in and be almost like
Consultant.
a consultant,
Yeah.
right? Somebody that bounces back and forth between the
Youth
majors and the
development
minors.
consultant.
The majors and the minors, and is just there specifically to help mold the young talent that you have and give Rocco additional tools that Rocco might not be aware of because Joe Madden has been to the mountaintop with teams like this time and time again.
Yeah. Agreed.
What has Rocco done wrong? If you like, as far as from the managerial,
Well, the argument, and I'm like very split on it because
His pitching development is,
the argument against him is he's too analytically based.
which is weird considering that he's a former player.
that's very weird. So yeah, like, is he doing things where he's making moves against the feel of the game, kind of? in
Yes,
favor of
because
stats?
the numbers say to make the move.
Yeah.
Really,
Yes.
I hate that. I fucking hate
So
that,
there you go.
actually.
You hate Rocco's managing style.
I guess so, because that's one of my biggest things from being a player. There's feel in the game,
There is.
Matt, like many times. But anyway, the player that I wanted to just put more shine on, we put some on, but
Luis Rice.
yes,
Yeah.
dude. So look at this.
Oh, yeah.
Ichiro asked who his favorite player is.
Yep.
Luis Ariz. I think that's so cool. But there was an article in Fox that I was just going to put up here. It's on the screen for you. The audience can't see this, but
Bummer.
just some of the numbers. I mean, I can get it so they can see
No,
it.
it's
But,
all right.
just how it's not the fact that he's batting 361. or
Which
whatever.
is, by the way, why is he not getting the same praise Joe Mauer got?
And isn't it like 403 over the last month?
Oh, yeah. It's absurdly high.
Yeah, 20 points higher than the next guy. But they were putting it in a historical context that this is in the most, like the worst hitting year. So
Yeah.
basically the average league batting average was 271, like in 99. It's been well like in that range
Yeah.
ever since.
Yeah.
This year it's 241.
Yep.
Which is the second lowest since 1968 when it was 237.
Yeah.
So he's batting, it's like 400 in a normal
Oh, yeah.
year if you adjust for that. But even his OPS, man, like his OPS was
He's
great.
got a great eye.
Well, dude, that's the funny thing is now that they're trying to pitch him inside,
It doesn't matter. He's just like, I'll watch.
his average is a little lower, but his power is greater.
And his walks have gone up.
Yep.
He's like, I'm not going to swing at that. Put something over the plate, and I'm going to put it in play.
Check out this stat. He has swung and missed at just 3 of 300 fastballs seen. 3 of 300.
In a league where you're getting relievers on a regular basis,
1% of the time he
That-
misses that fastball.
that throw 99 with tail
and
run.
And we have a
and
tweet
sink.
on the thing that the audience can't see, but why don't you guys just tell us who it is who's bigging him up?
Who is it?
Rod
Rod
Carew.
Carew.
Oh, yeah.
Rod
Look
Carew
at how
is-
consistent his swing is the tweet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's this dude. This is a great article, so recommend anyone to check this out. But it's a Fox Sports one, which I've never really
It's
spent time on there.
It's Bally, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
It says Fox Sports
It says
right
Fox
on it.
Sports, but
If you look at the video and stuff, it's all
Okay.
done through Bally Sports.
Why would their
well,
page
it's
say Fox Sports?
foxsports.com is where
Yes.
it's at. So
Yeah,
yeah,
That's weird.
but yeah,
But
he
no,
has-
Luis Rice is a stud. We're at the point now to where
Now, here's a question quick, and then we really got to get into the twin schedule and kind of move on. But with Arias being a utility infielder, does he make the All-Star game?
yes, he need and
Yes.
not only
At
that,
what position?
for the any position where there's a guy that's not hitting super well.
But I think you can only, if I go to vote, I think he's only a first baseman.
That's fine. Name another first baseman other than Paul Goldschmidt who's hitting the ball like that.
yeah, I don't give a shit where you put this guy. I really think
Put him-
that-
It's power, right?
Put it-
That's
there's a
where the
DH
other guys will have him.
There's a DH. Cool. Put him in as DH.
So the other first baseman,
Shift him around all game.
yeah,
like Vlad Guerrero Jr. has 17 homers,
Cool. He plays third base.
he could be a DH like
and
Edgar
17.
Martinez.
So he's got 13 more home runs and 17 more RBIs.
He's like, I really believe.
Rizzo almost 20 homers, 50 RBIs.
I think we are looking at a future 3,000 hit guy.
I'm gonna vote for him right now.
You know,
I'm on
it's
even though
funny.
he's starting it late.
Yeah. And for me, like, there's no reason why he should not be a part of every lineup that you have for the rest of the season.
He's got that thing, that magic bat thing where he just puts the barrel on it and squares it. It's
That's your. I know that everybody loves Buxton in the leadoff hole. My
Oh.
adjustment as Rocco Baldelli for after the All-Star break is my top 4 changes. It's now Luis Ariz, Byron Buxton, Jorge Polanco, Carlos Correa.
Guess
hits
what
in the 4
Buxton's
hole.
batting average is right
Like
now?
220.
228.
You know what though? His WAR, he's still like top 25
Oh, yeah.
WAR.
Because
So
all of
it's-
he hits well in big moments right now.
Yeah. And yeah, I should even ask this. I wasn't sure. Does fielding figure into your WAR?
Yes.
It does. That's what I thought. But
All
so,
right.
yeah.
So the Twins in the recent time here.
Not been great.
How far back should we go?
Just the last week. I have the schedule. We can.
Yeah, here it comes.
Gabe can put it up.
Yeah.
We have graphics this week, Mike.
Sweet.
There you go.
I didn't know if you threw your computer out the window or not.
We're gonna get into football social media teams here later.
So technically, let's go back to June 16th then.
Yeah,
Start of the D-backs series.
not great.
D-backs aren't a great team either, are they?
No, they're not. They've got some good pieces.
They have a losing record, 31-36.
For me, the bats just went completely and utterly dead silent.
Yeah, but I mean, you also allowed an average of 5 runs per game. So, like, that's not
right. No, the
great
pitching
either.
hasn't been good. And that's why people are calling for Rocco's head, right? It seems like the sky is falling. Nobody's hitting and the pitching's been bad. But I'll also say, like, Sonny Gray hasn't been back. Joe Ryan had to do a stint down. You know what I mean? We've had some pieces.
We've also had, like, the
hurt
most injuries in the league, right?
Yeah,
Or second most.
over this last little stretch here. So, Polanco's out. We should be getting him back before too long. But you can't afford to lose too much more ground here because you've surrendered the division lead to the third best team in the division in Cleveland.
Yeah, and it does get slightly easier, but then we got Cleveland again
For
for
5
5 games. So it's interesting.
So, final thoughts on the week that was?
Need to pick it up.
Got to find a rhythm.
I mean, what was it? We won 1 game.
Yeah.
We're 1-4 in the past week. So
Like Johnny Cash. Get a rhythm.
yeah. So looking ahead at the week that is today.
Whoa. We're just going to ignore the top twin?
Oh, I mean, is it not Luis Rise
No,
again?
it's Chris Archer.
Really?
13 over his last 2 starts, 13 innings pitched, a sub 1.2 whip, and a 2 ERA. Are we starting to see him round into shape to be a guy that we can rely on down the stretch?
2 starts isn't enough for me, especially with who he is and his track record.
Would
So I
agree.
would say possibly, but very skeptical.
But if that's who you get for the rest of the year,
Well, then, yeah, that's ridiculous. You pair that with Sonny Gray and Joe Ryan, even at their average, like
that's
Potent.
a playoff rotation.
Yeah.
There you go.
I just don't realistically see that happening,
Okay,
to
so
be
you're
honest.
giving it to Luis Rise? You don't think there's anybody else?
I'll give Chris Archer his props for the
Okay.
week that was,
Cool.
and I hope that he continues it.
Me too.
I just don't predict that.
That's fair.
And Luis Rise is like
The rock star of the Twins.
the ridiculous, yeah.
That's fair.
So looking ahead at the week that is, we got the Guardians again today in about 40 minutes, 12:10 first pitch. Tomorrow we start a homestand against the Rockies,
Yeah.
3-game stint, and then we go on the road next Monday to start a 5-game series in Cleveland.
Yeah. So I think the recipe for this is try to find a way to wake the bats up in the middle of the summer in a ballpark where the ball should jump off the bat. With Polanco coming back, Correa healthy, Buxton in the lineup, we should see, I'm not going to say a rout, but steady wins
We need to put up,
against the Rockies.
I would say like
5 runs a game.
18 runs
Yeah.
in 3 games. So
5
that's
runs
a
a game.
6-run average. So we're
Yeah.
right. We're close. First of all, before you get into that series, though, you have to avoid the sweep.
Oh, absolutely.
You have to avoid the sweep today at Target Field.
Yeah, because then you gotta go play them on the road.
On the road, I believe. Yeah, at Guardians for 5 of them. So 27th, 28th, 28th is a doubleheader, actually.
Yes.
And then 29th and 30th.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough stretch, but if you can get hot playing Cleveland or
I would say in
Colorado.
Cleveland, so Colorado, we got to win the series. You got to
Yes.
take 2 out of the 3. And then in Cleveland, I would say a minimum of 2 of the 5.
3.
Because if you go, like, it's the whole home versus away, right?
Right.
So unfortunately, we lost the series at home. Ideally, we need to win 2 of 3 at home
Yeah.
against our division rivals. On the road, if you can go 400 on the road in the division, that's not horrible, and that sets you up. In theory, you're winning more games at home than you are
yeah.
on the road. So like that's kind of the recipe for success. Is you have to win at least 2. If we win 3, that's great.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I just think with them having the division lead, we're creeping up on the All-Star break. What I would like to see, because what happens around the All-Star break while the players are all out doing their thing at the All-Star break or getting their rest, the self-scout for teams happens. And I think you see it a lot, no matter how good or how bad the team is or is not on paper. If you have a division lead at the All-Star break, you approach the trade deadline much differently than you do if you're a second place team.
If you're a
looking at
game or 2
wild-
back, though, it's very similar.
But if you're the Twins, or if you're a fan of the Twins, you're praying that they get into first place, because if they get into second, they might just stand pat.
If they're 2 games back at the All-Star break, you need to make a move not only to get far in the playoffs, but to get into the playoffs.
Yes.
So I think it's even more urgent at that point. If you're 6-7 games back in the second spot, it's a different approach.
True, and we're going to be 2 or 3 games back after if we get swept today. You know what I mean? And then you got 5
We're going
games
to be 2
against
games
them at
back
home.
if we get swept.
So I think I want to see six wins over the next 9 games.
What I was going to check out, the Guardians, you know who they play in between us?
Who?
The Red Sox.
Well, they'll get beat.
So hopefully they get swept there, to be honest.
I almost wore my Big Papi shirt in today. I was so
And then after us, they have the Yankees. So
oh yeah,
they have a tough stretch a little bit. We have room. That's
Here's
what I'm
your
saying.
chance.
There's room to get
there's your
those
chance.
games back.
Here is your chance.
So I don't think it's the world is falling like everybody makes it seem.
Well, if you are on the side of Chicken Little, feel free to let us know what you think about the Minnesota Twins as they approach the All-Star break, and we can move on over to what do we got next? The Mike is Right segment.
The Mike is Right segment, yeah.
With the NBA Finals. So the Golden State Warriors capture their 4th ring as a part of this dynasty, and as Mike fights off bugs in the studio here, we will give him the floor to claim his or give him his 15 minutes of fame since he earned it. He was right.
Boston Celtics all year long was their claim was the best defensive team in the NBA.
Yeah.
Golden State, when they came on late in the year and then into the playoffs, was the best offensive team. I don't care how good your defense is in the NBA today, hand in the face or not, Steph, Clay, even Andrew Wiggins are going to hit that shot. So then it's, can you keep up with us? And it was actually Golden State's defense and experience in the playoffs that ended up paying off.
Absolutely.
Exactly the way I called it.
Which is fair.
Now, I will say way too early prediction for next season. Boston represents the East in the finals again.
I don't know.
They've been there, done that. The whole Jason Tatum out on the floor after game 6. Like, I don't know, man.
Sure.
Like I said, they needed to get to the finals once and understand what it was like to be in the finals because it is a different animal.
Yeah.
Now that they've been there and they understand what that is, I'm looking forward to Boston representing the East next year. And I have no idea who's coming out of the West.
I'm going to tell you right now, if this Boston Celtics team wanted to win a championship, it was going to have to be this year. I will admit when I am wrong, and I was wrong on 2 fronts here. I was wrong on believing in the strength of the coaching and the the grit of the Boston Celtics team as a whole. And I was wrong about the star power and the ability to drag a team across the finish line of Jason Tatum. In game 4 or 5, Golden State came out and punched them in the mouth, and Boston shelled up like cat against a
like
real
they
big
hadn't
man.
Been there before.
It worried me not only for the current series when I saw it happen, but for the future of this core. I don't know if when Kevin Durant gets another piece in the East, or maybe you see Dame Lillard come over to the East, or Giannis gets Chris Middleton back, or some of the other powers that be in the Eastern Conference, if this Boston Celtics team, even with the way they are constructed now, or if they add another piece, are going to be able to overcome what they are going to have to go against. Keep in mind, Philadelphia is also probably going to get quite a bit better, shedding the James Harden contract or making a trade to get a piece back for him as well.
So they're probably going to lose in the first or second round.
I get it, but I'm just saying there are pieces that they got to somewhat avoid or play not at full strength this year that gave them the opportunity to get here, right?
So you think that the run to the finals was somewhat easy?
A little bit.
Your argument.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would agree with that. I think like last year, the Suns, I was like, they'll be back. And the Suns were back. Did they lose in a heavily competitive series in the playoffs? Yeah.
The matchup just wasn't good.
The matchup wasn't good for them, right? But I don't feel the same way about Boston, especially considering Curry wasn't really Curry. Great third quarters, not great fourth quarters. Like
30
Curry
points a game in the finals.
I get it. But a majority of those points coming in quarters 1 and 3, he didn't score well in quarters 2 or 4. And they hunted him to some success on defense. Klay Thompson was well below what he is capable of doing in this series. Jordan Poole shrank in good moments. Draymond Green turned the ball over a lot. Like there were plenty of holes in the way that Golden State played that should have led to Boston being able to make this happen, and they didn't.
Golden State played at half strength, basically, and took care of it in 6.
Yes.
So if they were full strength, this could have been a sweep.
Yeah. So
So let's talk about our second segment. You brought up the coaching staff of Boston.
Yes.
Steve Kerr, now with his 4th ring,
Yes.
well, what is it, 10th all time?
Yeah.
Is he the best coach in the NBA today?
Yes. Is he the best coach all time?
No.
Close. He's probably the strongest argument for number 2 that anybody could make. It's got to be Phil Jackson, Steve Kerr, and then everybody else. The way that he has...
I mean, you got Pat Riley up
That's
there.
what I was going to say. Is he better than Pat Riley?
I think he is.
You got... Who was the coach of the Celtics in the 80s?
As the old guy here, I actually can't answer that.
You were the one that just watched the Showtime Lakers show. Can't you tell me?
I can't remember who the coach was. I remember Red Auerbach pulling the strings behind the scenes, and he's probably one of the best GMs ever.
Sure.
Honestly, but I can't remember who's on the bench for them.
Steve Kerr's ability to selflessly manage egos is a direct reflection of who he was as a player, having to play with Michael.
So that's actually an argument that I was going to make is Steve Kerr a product of the era that he's coaching in?
No, he's a product of the era that he played in.
Would he have the same coaching success if he coached the Showtime Lakers?
Yeah.
Because of the egos?
Yes.
Would he have the same success if he coached his Bulls team?
Probably. And I'll say that because of the lengths that he was willing to go to as a player to earn Michael's respect.
Would Phil Jackson have the same success with today's Golden State Warriors? No. Okay. So in that argument, you're arguing that Steve Kerr is almost better.
Here's where I will say Phil Jackson's ability to develop all-time great players is greater than what we have seen Steve Kerr do to this point. Now, if when Curry passes the torch, we see Jordan Poole become another iteration of
Kerr wins 2 more,
and Kerr
he's
wins 2
clearly
more,
the best.
then he's the best.
Yeah.
But I say Phil Jackson right now because you saw what he did with Michael, and then he got his hands on Kobe and did the exact same thing.
Is it more so X's and O's with Phil? Like he's an eccentric guy a little bit. If you know anything about Phil Jackson, he's a little bit of a weird dude.
Casey Jones, is that the guy you're thinking of?
Casey Jones won 2 championships in the early 80s with the Celtics. Never had a year with less than 57 wins.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty good. Too.
Yeah. And really this made me think too, when you say all time, are you really meaning all time? Because
I mean all time.
See, there's Red Auerbach before he took over the GM role. Like he was ridiculous. That's the Bill Russell Celtics.
In 66, how many teams were in the NBA?
I don't know.
More than one.
And there were really only 2 dominant franchises back then.
Yeah.
He won 9 out of 10 championships in a row.
I don't care how many teams you're going against. It was still at least like 8.
And that's fine. But would Red Auerbach coach well today?
No, because his style wouldn't work.
Exactly.
But with Phil, going back to Phil Jackson, I think what made him ridiculous, I think his handling of players was great.
Yes.
His X's and O's
was otherworldly.
He developed the triangle offense.
Yeah.
Like he is probably the best coach with X's and O's there will ever be.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's what makes him like
elite.
If you're going to be that elite at something, like every single person that is at the top 1% of their craft is weird.
Oh yeah. And Phil Jackson's a weird dude.
And Phil Jackson is a weird dude because he's so out there. I would be willing to bet that half of his thoughts are outside of the box.
Oh yeah.
Like he's just so creative and innovative that translated really well to having special talents like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, okay. I would agree with that. I think Steve Kerr did a lot by this, and the way that team is set up right now, if Vegas doesn't open up next year with Golden State as the betting favorite to win the title again next year.
Well, like, so here's a question. I want to give Steve Kerr his due, right? The talent that he has on that roster, though, could Ime Udoka have won if they just switched coaching roles? You don't think so?
No.
Okay. Fair enough.
And I don't know enough about him because wasn't he an assistant in Golden State?
I don't know about that, but I know that they both played under Pop for a bit. Yep. They're both kind of the Popovich tree.
Gotcha.
And like you can make an argument that Steve Kerr is Popovich and Jackson tree, which is like insane.
Yeah.
Two of the
And
greatest coaches ever.
you know what? Now that, and I forget.
Yeah, are you going to bring up Pop?
Sometimes I do forget Pop.
He's probably top 5. I don't know if he's top 3, though.
But you know my feeling about him having coached some of I lump in his lack of success in other situations outside of the NBA. Right?
What does that mean?
He wasn't great. He got, what did they get, the bronze medal one year with him at the helm of the USA team? With like Kobe,
yeah.
KD, LeBron. Like, how do you not win gold?
D-Wade,
Do you guys
Carmelo Anthony.
does Kerr command respect like what Phil Jackson does? Like, you know, to me, what Phil Jackson, he was the first guy who sort of really understood being a player's coach, but he was tough. You know
So
what I mean?
that's actually my answer is I think in his own locker room, he commands a ton of respect.
I think even outside of other locker rooms, he commands a
With
ton of respect.
some. I think the fact that Steve Kerr does talk about social issues, something that Phil Jackson did not do.
That's fair.
There are people in the U.S. that do not give him the time of day, even in his field of stuff field, right?
That's
Just
fair.
because.
But could Steve Kerr command, like, okay, if he came into a situation where that team just gets fucking messy one year, like where there's big problems.
He did. The year
think
where
he has that
Draymond
toughness?
called
Okay.
the year where Draymond called KD a bitch
Yeah.
on the
yeah.
sidelines.
The KD
and
years were tough
fractured-
on him.
and fractured that entire team. That did they not get to a Western Conference final that year before KD blew out his Achilles tendon? Like, to hold that thing together all year long and make a deep playoff run with a disgruntled Kevin Durant, who is awfully prickly, and Draymond Green, who is, in my opinion, like our generation's mentality version of, I think, Dennis Rodman.
Okay.
Like, for him to hold that together with with two of the best shooters of all time on that roster to keep them out of the mess. Yes, I think he demands an absurd amount of respect because of what he's been through. You look at Steve Kerr's resume and you can't, everything he says holds weight.
And then really quick before we move on, Steph's legacy now.
He makes the Mount Rushmore.
Is he over LeBron?
Yes. Same amount of rings, shorter amount of time, larger impact on the game. None of the I need to switch teams to go get a championship shenanigans.
I saw a Facebook post the other day. You go to what is Steph in the finals? 4-2? 4-1?
4-2. Two
So
losses to
if you
LeBron.
take a girl home 6 times and you score 4 out of the 6, it's pretty solid.
Yeah.
If you take a girl home 10 times and score 4 out of the 10, it's not great. There you go.
Here, I got a couple of these crazy Steph Curry stats. Only unanimous MVP in history, largest scoring increase by reigning MVP.
Yep.
So actually to go up.
3-point career marksmanship.
Free throw marksmanship. Highest scoring average in a 50-40-90 season.
Yep.
I mean, he just, let's see. Unanimous.
And let's give him his credit. His ability to be a selfless leader is probably the best thing about him. Like, for him to understand, all right, you know what? As much as people may give me some shit for a couple of years, I'm a pretty likable guy. I need KD. Let's go get KD for a few years. For him to know that, you know what? I might be the best shooter in the league, but at any
Best
given
shooter all
moment,
time.
but at any given moment, Klay Thompson will be a better shooter on the floor than I am that night.
Sure.
For him to know that Draymond's shenanigans are going to put him in the line of media fire, and him to go, I can manage that. For him to manage all of these things, keep his mouth shut, stay above. Everybody gives LeBron this credit. He's been in the league for 21 years with all of this hype and has never done anything wrong.
There's a lot of players like that.
Steph Curry came in as a nobody, earned that respect,
Right.
and still has not slipped up.
That's why I think he's the greatest all time just because he isn't
Not
the
greatest
greatest
all time.
physical. I mean, as far as basketball skills, he is.
You're going to put him above Michael?
You're going to put him
Well,
on Michael,
listen,
and Kareem, and
All
Shaq?
I'm saying is Mike, Kareem, Shaq, LeBron, what do all those guys have in common? They're physical freaks.
Yeah, that's true.
He is a fucking regular guy almost, right? He just has this preternatural ability
If
to
you saw him
shoot.
on the street, you wouldn't know
Yeah, you would.
I'd fight him.
Oh,
No, if you
okay.
saw him
You'd
at a
lose,
bar,
Gabe, you would
of
lose.
course I would. Of course I would. But I'm saying, like, that's what you, like, you know, to me, that's what's cool about him is that he's,
Right.
you know, he's
No,
like a
and
superhero.
he is. And for me, my Mount Rushmore, if we're and
He's 6'2", 185 pounds. He's
I'm-
definitely not imposing.
no, my Mount Rushmore has 5 names on it, so add an additional head.
You
But-
can't do that.
Yeah, whatever. So right now for me, it's Michael, Kareem, Shaq, Curry, Duncan. That's my 5.
No bird.
No bird.
No Magic.
No Magic.
Recency
bird.
bias.
Mm.
All right. Well, let us know what you
mine.
guys
Race
think about.
trader
Let us know what you.
with no bird. I mean, he's our one guy. He's our one guy. You can't get him in there.
Curry's close enough.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus. All right. Let us know what you guys thought about the NBA Finals and who comes back next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us know who you think's got it next year. And then time for some football. We haven't been able to talk a whole lot of football like recently.
It's June.
It's June. There's not
But-
a lot to talk about.
We're continuing with our NFL predictions. Today we're in the dumpster fire division.
And we have started a lot of we're hated by a lot of fan bases as we go through
Oh,
and,
bring
and
it.
do
Bring
and
it.
do- Mike has become an outcast to a large portion of the Miami Dolphins community.
Because every one of them thinks they're going to win the Lombardi this year for some reason.
I saw that blow up. What?
Oh, yeah.
Like what happened there?
No,
with that?
Mike thought they were going to win 5 games, and everybody's like, "This guy doesn't know shit."
Yeah,
Until they win 5 games.
it is funny how
I got the same. Dude, going into the finals, the Celtics had an 89% chance to win that series. And I called Warriors in 6. And everybody was like, oh, this guy is an idiot. He has no idea what he was talking about. Oh, shocking.
All right. Well, and hey, by the way, guess what else we get to check off our list as like an official year 2 sports show? Obligatory Cowboys talk. That's where we get to start.
Sweet. Let's talk about America's team.
America's team. Yeah, and the Dallas Cowboys in 2022, pretty much status quo for them. They've really only lost Amari Cooper as their main piece and a pass rusher. They retained their entire coaching staff after a little bit of offseason turbulence. So Gabe, whenever you're ready, we can get the graphic up and go through the games. By the way, before we start this, NFL social media teams, I should be able to get on your websites and look at a good representation of your schedule if I wanted to put it as my screensaver, if I wanted to print it out to share with my friends, if I wanted to just look at, to review instead of just like the Google version, right? The fact that I have had to make 90% of these schedules for this show is appalling. Do better. Do better. All right, let's get into it. Mike, weeks 1 through 5 for the Dallas Cowboys. They start at home against Tampa. Then they go at home. They stay at home and face Cincinnati. And they go on the road to face New York. At home against Washington, and then on the road against the Rams.
Okay, so I apologize. Remind me. Blue is road?
Home games are white.
Okay, so I'm going to say 2 and 3.
Okay. Got a specific and a
Both
reason?
wins come in division.
Gotcha.
The Dallas Cowboys are going to finish 10-7, 9-8. That's
Okay.
who they are. They have the firepower to beat good teams, but as Cowboys fans should know, they like weirdly collapse against bad teams.
Yeah.
So there will be a couple surprises coming later in the season, but I think 3 out of their first 5 games are against legitimate Super Bowl contenders.
Yes.
I think the Buccaneers game is very close. Maybe
Okay.
like a 4-point win for Tom and the Bucks. I just don't see Dallas's defense being able to hold them down enough. So it's a little bit of a shootout. Cincinnati, I expect Cincinnati to take a huge step forward. And I think that this is a good game for them. They're playing a good team on the road. I think Cincinnati wins this one.
Okay.
The Giants, we'll get to them later. The Commanders, team on the rise a little bit. I'm concerned about
Team on the rise. We'll get to them
the
later.
fact that they don't have a ton of
Quarterback?
skill guys. Like they have a good receiver, a decent running back, and a quarterback who will be hurt by like possibly week 4.
And when he's healthy, you don't know where the ball's going.
So Dallas in that one, and then week 5, LA is arguably the best team in the NFL.
All right. Well, I have them at 4-1.
Holy shit.
Listen, No Grodwin, no Gronk, new guy at the helm at head coach for Tampa Bay week 1. Some new pieces to the defense, and everything is a year older. That game is at home. I think they get a win. All right.
You're going against number 12.
Yep. I agree. Cincinnati. If you go back to my Cincinnati prediction, I had Dallas beating Cincinnati in that prediction as well. Because I think this is going to be the opportunity where you see, if there's one thing that Cincinnati did not do well last year, was stop the run. Like, I think it was the weakest part of their game plan as a whole.
I think it was stopping the pass rush, but okay.
I close second to stopping the run. Like, they've got a good pass rush and they've got good safeties, right? But Zeke and Tony Pollard in that game are going to weigh really heavy. And I think Micah Parsons wreaks havoc on Joe Burrow in that game. They get a win there. Of course, obviously, I think they get walkover wins against New York and Washington.
Yep.
And then their first loss comes against the Rams.
So they're 4-0 going into the game against the Rams.
And then I think they get their shit pushed in against the Rams, by the way. Because that's a road game. Aaron Donald shuts that
Khalil
every time.
Mack, right?
No, Khalil Mack's in the Chargers. But they've got
the other LA team.
They get Bobby Wagner or
Yep.
KJ Wright or
Bobby
something.
Wagner.
Like, the Dallas's game, because of Dak Prescott's limitations, and yes, whether anybody wants to admit that he has them or not, he has them. When they can't run the ball, that offense is incredibly inefficient, especially with Kellen Mond being the guy calling
the games
the plays.
that Dak throws 50-plus attempts,
They're
typically
usually
losses.
really bad. And I think with Aaron Donald and Bobby Wagner there to stuff the run, that's going to be an uphill battle on the road and a pretty hefty loss against the Rams. 4-1. All right, going into the second section of the schedule. They are at Philadelphia, at home against Detroit and Chicago. They go to Green Bay, to Minnesota, and then they come back home to face the Giants. Second time. Mike, how does it play out?
I'm going to say 4-2 in this stretch.
Okay.
Beat Philly, beat Detroit, beat Chicago, lose to Green Bay, lose to Minnesota, beat New York.
Okay. Specific reasons for any of the games that are close?
I'd say the two closest games are probably going to be like Minnesota and Philly.
Yeah.
Philly at home on Monday Night Football is just like a weirdly tough team to beat.
Mm-hmm.
Lincoln is tough to go into. Scrambling quarterback is always hard to contain. And I think Philly will be probably that second best team in the division. So this is going to be a good one there.
Yeah.
Minnesota and Dallas have always kind of matched up pretty well.
We've talked about this matchup, though, in our Vikings prediction.
Yeah. And I had the Vikings winning, I believe.
Yeah.
So
You did. I did not.
I'll continue with that trend.
Yeah. I think I think you're spot on with that Philadelphia game at home. Once again, I'm looking at what teams are going to do really well against the run with Dallas.
Okay.
Well, who did they draft?
Well, they already have Fletcher Cox and then Jordan Davis.
Oh, and then
Brandon Graham and Derek Barnett.
and then they got
Their interior D-line is ridiculous.
and then they got Nakobe Dean.
Yep.
So I think Dallas is going to have a real hard time.
And Nakobe Dean, by week 6, should be
in
having significant playing time.
Yeah, so I think that defense gives Dallas problems. I think the ability for the Eagles to also run the football in that game against Dallas chews up a lot of clock and limits a lot of the big play opportunities that Dallas should get if their offense is on the field a lot. So they'll take a loss there. Obviously, walkover wins against Detroit and Chicago. You got to go to Green Bay, which I had a bone to pick with that one during the schedule. They'll lose to Green Bay because they got to play that game at home. They beat Minnesota in Minnesota, accurate with my prediction going back. They beat us with their third string quarterback on Halloween last year. I had to sit in US Bank Stadium and watch that, so I have zero faith.
It's a different Vikings team.
Yeah, that's what everybody says. And then they will beat New York. So at this point in the season, I have them at 8-3.
I have them at 6-5.
Right. And
Probably leading the division.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Last part of the schedule, they have a home game against both Indianapolis and Houston. Then they go to Jacksonville. They get Philly at home before they end the season with 2 games on the road against Tennessee and Washington. Dude.
4 and I couldn't remember if it was 4-2 or 5-1. 4-2.
4-2. All right. Why?
Indianapolis, that's going to be basically who can run the football. And I guess I do trust the two-headed monster a little bit more than Jonathan Taylor.
Okay.
And it is close.
Yeah.
Houston, I don't trust Davis Mills. I want to make that very clear.
Well, Houston's never going to win the Texas battle.
Right. So Dallas there. Jacksonville, you're going to win 3 games this year, guys. This ain't one of them. Philly at home this time. Christmas Eve game. I'm going to say Dallas takes it.
Yep.
And then those are the last 2 losses, actually. Tennessee and Washington.
Oh, you have them losing to Washington.
Because that's on the road in Washington, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So divisional game on the road. You probably have the division locked up at this point. Finishing 10-7.
Okay. I have them a tad bit better. They only lose 2 games in this stretch for me.
Same as me.
I think.
So we were the same from
Record.
week 6 basically through as far as like
it's the beginning of the
record.
season.
Yep.
Indianapolis is Dallas with difference at wide receiver play and
Junior.
quarterback.
I think it's Dallas Jr., to be honest.
I think I think the Colts defense is better.
Slightly.
I think the Colts pass defense is better as well. I think they have better corners other than just having Trayvon Diggs, right?
Yeah.
Now, Dallas has better receivers. I still am going to give the edge to the Colts offensive line and run game over Dallas's offensive line and run game, but Dak is a better quarterback at this point in his career than Matt Ryan is.
And that's actually why I give the nod to Dallas, because Indianapolis will have to defend the pass more than Dallas will.
Right? But I think it's a little bit of a trap game.
Okay.
They come off beating pretty handedly, probably New York.
Sure.
And then they got to come and play a very smash mouth style of football against Indianapolis.
That's
They
a
take
Thursday
loss.
night, isn't it?
Yes, so it's on a short week.
Yep.
And then they get Houston, Jacksonville, Philly, win. So they'll split with the Eagles. I gave them a loss against Tennessee, and the reason being is because I have a sneaky suspicion that Vrabel, like Tomlin, will always find a way to get wins when they need them in order to get them into the playoffs. So I think Tennessee will take that game, and then they will beat Washington, sweeping the series, and they end the year 12-5, leading the division and actually biting for a first-round bye in the NFC this year.
I just don't think they're that good of a team. We'll see.
We will see.
So we both have them winning the division.
Yep.
So Dallas Cowboy fans can't be that mad at me.
Nope. We won't be starting any riots in the comment section this time, Michael.
You're also winning the worst division in football. So if you want to pat yourself on the back for that one, go ahead.
Are you sure they're the worst division in football this year?
Yep.
All right, well, let's tell everybody why. Let's go to the New York Giants.
Do we have to?
Yeah, we have to. All right, so the New York Giants, they start their year against Tennessee. Then they, on the road, by the way, then they get Carolina, Chicago, and Dallas all at home before they leave to go play Green Bay week 5. How does this go?
I'll say they take one, and it's Chicago at home.
Okay.
Otherwise, they're not a great team. Honestly, they have
No faith
holes
in
on the
Dable,
offensive line.
Yeah.
They have holes at quarterback.
A glaring hole at quarterback.
If Saquon can stay healthy, that's a totally different season for them. But he
even
hasn't
if
proven
he's
that
healthy.
he can either. Their defense has a multitude of holes.
Yeah. And they just got rid of their best corner.
Right. Their only wins are going to be against the dumpster teams of the NFL. So Chicago.
It's so funny that you said that. I have here in my notes, they are good enough to beat 70% of teams below 500.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's who the Giants are. So I have them losing to Tennessee, losing to Dallas, losing to Green Bay. I have them beating Carolina and Chicago.
Okay.
I think
Carolina games, like, that's who Carolina is too. They're like a 6-11 team.
I'm going to be very interested to see what this offseason quarterback controversy, which is, I think, under the radar in Carolina right now, going to cause some strife because of the interest that they have in Baker. Is Baker in camp? How long is he in camp? Is Darnold like 100% invested? Hearing some of this news, so on and so forth, I think that's going to be tough.
Baker?
Yeah, Baker's been rumored to be going to Carolina.
He's going to probably play for Cleveland this year with everything that's going on with Deshaun.
We'll talk about that later because there's a lot of news that happened over the last week on that as well. But obviously, I have them starting the year 2-3.
1-4.
All right. Next
So
set of
week
the schedule.
6,
Yep. Home against Baltimore, on the road to take on Jacksonville and Seattle before they come home to take on Houston and Detroit, and then end the stretch at Dallas.
Wow, I can't believe I'm saying this, but 3-3.
Yeah, that's exactly what I got.
Let me guess. Jacksonville, Houston, Detroit.
Oh, sorry. I have them at 4-2, but they'll be
Holy
at 6.
buckets,
I'll have
Nicholas.
them at 6-5 at this point in the season.
Wow.
So go ahead. Go through yours. Wins, losses.
Lose to Baltimore, beat
Obviously.
Jacksonville, lose to Seattle, shockingly.
Okay.
Seattle doesn't have a quarterback, but that's kind of a Pete Carroll versus Dable thing because they both have holes.
Mhm.
Who can hide their holes better?
Yeah.
I trust Pete Carroll.
Okay.
Houston is just bad. Detroit is just bad. And then Dallas will beat them. So, yeah, 3-3.
All right. I had them beating Jacksonville, Seattle, Houston, and Detroit.
Yeah, I knew that.
And part of the reason why I'm going to give them the win against Seattle is because as bad as the Giants are and as many holes as they have, if you look at their star power, there are certain games that just come down to are good guys better than their good guys. They do have decent receivers. They do have a better running back than what Seattle has right now. Maybe not by the end of the year, because I think once Kenneth Walker III takes over in Seattle, they've got their next Marshawn Lynch, Sean Alexander. And then if you look at the defensive side of the ball, they do have some pass rushers. They do have some bright spots on defense. I think it will be enough in that game. I'm not sure if it's sustainable for like a playoff run.
Right.
But my 70% number, they got to win 7 out of 10 games against teams below 500. And there's a couple teams on there below 500. So that's where they're going to come from. And they'll be relevant down the stretch because they'll be at 6-5 heading into the last part of the season.
And I have them at 4-7, which isn't completely out of it.
Nope. Especially not in that division. All right, so last part of the schedule for the New York Giants here. At home to take on Washington and Philly before they get their bye week. Or sorry. There's something wrong here. Anyways, at home, Washington, Philly. Then they go on the road, Washington, Minnesota. At home, Indianapolis. On the road against Philly to end the year. Mike, is it a tough end of the season for the Giants?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One win?
Ooh. All right. Where's it coming from?
Washington at home.
All right, that's fair. I expect those two teams to split.
So I don't expect a Phillies. I think Philly sweeps them.
Yeah, I do too.
I think Minnesota's a lot better.
Agreed.
And Indianapolis is better.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I actually have them.
That's finishing 5-12.
I gotcha. I think they're going to beat Washington both times, but those are their only wins here.
Okay.
Washington needs to prove to me that they can be healthy late.
Sure.
And they need to prove to me that Carson Wentz is going to be good late. Right? I think Dable's offense will be better than Ron Rivera's defense at that part in the season. That's kind of what I'm banking on here, both on the road or at home. There's also a lot going on. We'll talk about it here in a minute with Washington at an ownership standpoint, and that shit runs downhill quite literally if you're
and into the stadium and onto your head if you're a fan.
So they'll win those two games, but those are the only two wins. Lost to Philly, lost to Minnesota, lost to Indy. Lost to Philly again. They finished the year 8-9. They're relevant. They're back page news for New York, but they are relevant. And that's all you can ask for in Dable's first year when he really hasn't had the opportunity to assess what that team's going to be. I like what New York is doing because as bad as that season may seem to end, because it's like, more of the same, just below 500. Dable now will have been able to see, well, here's the pieces I can keep. Here's what I can trade. Here's what I can get rid of. Here's what I need. And next year, I would actually expect New York to take a step forward.
So even though I'm saying 5-12, there are quite a few games throughout that schedule that they
could go the other way.
Yeah. Yep. So I would say a range is more appropriate with this team.
Yeah.
Of 5-12 to 7-10.
Okay.
And I agree with your relevant comment, but it's 1 year too early.
Okay.
So Dable has his first year. They go 6-11 roughly.
Okay.
Next year, they're in the 9-8 conversation.
Gotcha.
So they're a year away.
I've got them a year ahead of you.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then dilly, we got to cover some games in Philly. I know you don't want to, and I don't want to either. But I have some good news to start this off. So we'll go through the games, and then I got a game in here that you're gonna love.
Okay.
All right. So the Philadelphia Eagles game, whenever you're ready. For Mike's frame of reference, because he didn't make these graphics. Road games are in black.
Got
Home
it.
games are in green.
Got it.
Gotcha. All right, cool. So they start the year on the road against Detroit, at home against Minnesota. Then they get Washington on the road, Jacksonville at home, and Arizona week 5 on the road. So pretty much every other to start the year.
I'm going to say 2 of them.
So which 2 are you going to say?
Detroit and Jacksonville.
Okay. You think they lose to everyone else, huh?
The Washington game is one of those games that can go either way. Washington early in the year will be healthy. I think Carson Wentz will be playing well. That's a game that will go either way, and it's a home divisional rival game for Washington. I think that's like a field goal at the end that wins it. It's going to be a very close one. Could go either way. So Philly fans, you could be 3-2.
Oh, I have them at 3-2 as well.
Well, there you go. And do you have Detroit, Washington, and Jacksonville?
Actually, so I have them beating Detroit, beating Washington, and beating Arizona. I think they lose to Jacksonville because Doug Peterson is coming back to Philly to get some revenge. That's what I think. Like, quite honestly, they do have the talent necessary to gum up the run game. You saw that last year in the way that they played the Colts at the end of the season. And
I think Philly's defense is good enough, though, to give a still young quarterback in Trevor Lawrence fits.
Totally agree with you, but I don't underestimate how much of what Doug Peterson did is still installed and left behind in that Philadelphia scheme that he's going to know exactly how to answer.
All right.
So I think that Jacksonville gets a feel-good win, and then they do beat Arizona. The reason I think they beat Arizona is because that offense seems to struggle without DeAndre Hopkins, and that's the week before he's allowed to come back.
Also the week that they've had the most experience without him.
Yeah, well, that's true. Kyler Murray's contract situation. I don't know what that defense is going to look like.
The Arizona team is still a playoff team, and Philly is a bubble team.
When we get to that division, maybe we can disagree on that one. But as for right now, I do have Philadelphia taking that game without D-Hop. Don't.
So roughly 2-3, 3-2.
Yeah. All right. Next part of the schedule.
Cool graphic, by the way.
Thank you. NFL teams, if you're looking to hire somebody who can actually do this shit, give me a call. They got at home against Dallas and Pittsburgh. They go on the road to face Houston, at home against Washington, on the road against Indianapolis, and then at home against Green Bay.
Four.
Or what?
4 wins.
Four
The first 4. So Dallas at home, as I said in the Dallas one, that's a Monday night game in Philly. Philly wins that game. They have a break and then come back home against Pittsburgh, who by week 8, there may be a quarterback controversy brewing. I don't trust Mitch Trubisky.
Mm-hmm.
I don't trust Kenny Pickett. I don't care who it is that's lining up behind center for Pittsburgh. That's going to be a rough game against a good pass rush and a good interior defense. So Philly there. Houston, I don't trust Davis Mills.
You leave him alone.
Washington at home. I'm going to say Philly takes that one and then lose to Indy and lose to Green Bay.
All right. I went back and checked my notes. I actually have them losing the Pittsburgh game. I think that defense is going to give Jalen Hurts a lot of problems.
Sure.
A lot of problems.
That's a close one, too.
Yeah. And it's the battle for Pennsylvania. So
I just don't trust Pittsburgh's quarterback, whoever it may be.
Correct. So I do have them beating Dallas at home, obviously losing to Pittsburgh. They do beat Houston. I don't think it's Davis Mills' fault entirely. They beat Washington. They lose to Indianapolis.
Watch him throw 5 picks that
and
night.
then lose to Green Bay. Pittsburgh D is too much in the same way that Indy's D is too much for Philadelphia.
Okay.
Like you said, it's kind of a Minnesota-built team. Minnesota, much like Dallas, struggles when you can't run the football. So teams that do well against the run, and then, there's not a lot. I don't trust Jalen Hurts' arm yet.
Right. He's still a running quarterback.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He's Marcus Mariota plus or Lamar Jackson light. Take your pick. But they are 6-5 through that part of the schedule. And then they wrap the year up weeks 13 through 18. Got it right this week. At home against Tennessee, and then a road stretch against New York, Chicago, and Dallas before they end the season at home against New Orleans and New York.
4 of them again. Shocking.
All right.
That puts them at like possible 10 wins, 10, 11 wins even possible.
Mm-hmm.
They beat New York on the road, beat Chicago on the road.
Mm-hmm.
So they lose to Tennessee, lose to Dallas. They beat New Orleans at home and then beat the Giants at home.
Gotcha. I struggled here quite mightily to figure out where I wanted to put them.
Sure.
Based on one game, the New Orleans game.
New Orleans. Okay.
Listen, I know that nobody really believes in Jameis Winston. I know that Sean Payton isn't there. I wanted to give Philly a loss in that game so bad. So bad. That defense is still great. That offensive line is still sufficient. Alvin Kamara is back. They should have Michael Thomas back. They didn't draft terribly. Like, it's a good team.
It's a solid team.
They are relevant every year. Philly's too good. Philly's going to gum up everything against
Kamara won't have a good
against
day.
Kamara. Darius Slay should be able to lock down whoever the number one receiver is at that point. Don't have it. Like I said, not everybody believes in Jameis Winston. And that defense is good. Jalen Hurts has the tendency at home to just put dudes on skates. So I've got them beating Tennessee. Same reason. Run game real good. New York, Chicago. Loss at Dallas. They beat New Orleans and they beat the Giants. They end the year 11-6.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there 10-7, 11-6 as well. So they're a wild card team?
Pretty close. Listen, man, this is a good showing for them. We are not Eagles fans on this show.
Nope.
Not a fan of Eagles fans on this show.
You throw snowballs at Santa Claus, you get these hands.
E. White told me they've upgraded to D batteries. So Santa, be careful.
Jeez.
But this team was good enough to get into the playoffs last year, and I think it left me and you both kind of scratching our heads.
Oh, I think it boils down to one guy.
Right. And then what did they do? They drafted well. And
They
it's
did
another
draft well, but
it's
they didn't
another-
give that one guy more weapons either.
and they got AJ Brown.
True. I just meant like in the draft.
No, I got you. But so playoff team drafts well, another year in the system, and they do get a true number one receiver. I feel like 11-6 surprised me when I looked at the schedule, but after breaking it down, I'm like,
I mean, what were they last year? 8-9? 9-8?
9-8. I think when they got
They
into
made
the
enough
playoffs.
moves to
Yeah,
+1, +2 wins.
I mean, we did say they were the second best, third best draft in the league this year.
Yeah.
So,
well, and then moves outside of the draft, AJ Brown.
yeah.
So,
So good things to come, hopefully, for the Eagles fan. However, for me, not quite good enough to win the division. You'll still finish in second place at 11-6.
yeah, I would agree. And here's the thing, though, is like if we have them, so you had Dallas at 12-5. I think I had Dallas at 11-6.
Yeah.
So I'll say Dallas is at 11-6, just for argument's sake. Philly's at 10-7 in second place. Philly fans, you win one game in Dallas, you win the division.
Yeah.
So
It'll be interesting this
Christmas Eve is the game that
year.
decides the
Christmas
division.
Eve is the game. Last team.
Washington.
Wanna sing it with me? We are Commanders. Dan Snyder's a piece of shit.
No.
I was bringing it back. You don't want to do it. Whatever. All right. The Washington Commanders. The poop scoopers of the NFL this year. They are the Jets. They are the Bears. They are the Detroit Lions. They are bad.
They are Philly 2 years ago.
They're bad. Bad football team. I like their
6-10.
coach.
6-11.
I like some of their pieces. I don't like what's going on up top. We made mention to it earlier, but shit does roll downhill, right? I don't know how ugly that's going to get. How long is Ron Rivera going to be there? Are there going to be other suspensions to their management staff? Is Chase Young going to come back and be healthy? ACLs are always, they're more certain than they were in years previous, but you never really know until you see the guy play.
It's not 100%.
Carson Wentz is either bad or healthy, he's either healthy and bad or broken and probably better for your team. Terry McLaurin's unhappy with his contract currently. Their running back is never healthy. I can't find it in me
To trust them.
to trust them in any game that they walk into all year long.
So yellow is home or?
Yellow's home games. And by the way, the New York game is a mistake because I had to make the graphic once again. That's a game against Detroit. The rest of them are correct. Week 2, they play Detroit, not New York.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, 4 wins then, shockingly. Jacksonville at home. I'm going to say Washington.
So you have them 4-2 through the first 6 games?
Yep. Well, Jacksonville at home, Washington. Detroit on the road. Sorry, Jared. Washington beats you. Philly at home. I just talked about this one. I think that they kind of split with most of their division foes except Dallas. So week 4, they lose. Week 5, they lose. Week 6, they win.
Okay.
Because I view Chicago, Jacksonville, and the Jets as like those true, and Detroit as the bottom feeders.
This is the best bad team in football.
Yes, and that's why I think that they're going to be like a 5-win team.
And so remember, I have some teams at like 2-3 wins.
I already gave them 4 of them. If I'm right, the rest of the season's going to suck for you Washington fans.
I have them at 3-3.
All right. Who?
So
Jacksonville?
they'll beat Jacksonville.
Detroit?
They'll beat Detroit. They'll lose to Philly and Dallas.
Chicago.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's the Philly game at home that we're split on.
Yeah. I just, like I said.
But still, hey, Washington fans, you're starting 500 or 4-2 possibly.
And
Holy
then it's
crap.
all going to fall apart. So
yeah, just like your stadium. So we're good.
To the next part of the schedule. Where they go they got Green Bay at home, then they go to Indianapolis, they take on Minnesota at home, they go to Philly, they go to Houston, and then they go versus Atlanta.
1.
Okay, so
Houston.
2. Houston and Atlanta.
The Atlanta one is very for me.
They have Atlanta at home, that's why I gave it to them.
Okay.
Right?
And honestly, the Commanders Field, is it FedEx Field? Is that right? The field itself
is cursed.
Is horrible to play on as well. And
nobody step on the 14-yard line.
And Atlanta is a turf dome team.
Yeah.
Coming outside to play on that horrible, horrible, horrible grass. So
without a top wide receiver.
Right.
Really. You know what I mean? So like they're going to get trounced in Green Bay, trounced in Indianapolis, more bad momentum in Minnesota. They're going to get pistol whipped in Philly. Like it's just they'll look good against teams with bad pass defense and bad O-lines. Other than that, yeah, dumpster fire would be correct, Gabe. Good job. All right, last part of the schedule. This is where it gets really ugly for me. So they take those 2 wins, week 11 and 12, or, Houston and Atlanta, and then I got them losing out.
I have them winning at home against New York, but that's it. So that's a 6-11 team.
I had New York beating them in both games.
Yeah.
So they lose to New York twice. Then they get San Francisco. They're going to get their asses whooped. Cleveland, that run game is going to be a lot to deal with. And Dallas, once again, to end the season, they finished they started the year 3-3. They're finishing the year 5-12.
I mean, I had them starting 4-2 and finishing 6-11. So similar story. The schedule does get harder as they go deeper. And that's also their track record is to get unhealthy, I guess would be the word.
Correct.
As the season progresses.
Washington has a tendency, or Washington has been attempting.
Has a history.
No, they've been attempting to not hard reset this team.
Right.
This is the year where they're going to have to do it. At the end of the season, at 5-12, are you going to be able to keep Terry McLaurin? No. Is Carson Wentz's contract moving forward sustainable? No. You've now wasted 3 out of the first 4 years of Chase Young's contract. You're going to look at that, either have to pay him big money or move him if he doesn't ask out already. A lot of that defensive line talent is going to start to get expensive. Their safeties are only getting older now. Their running back can't stay healthy, and is Ron Rivera with his health going to want to stay? There's a lot of really tough questions to happen in Washington at the end of this year. I think the hard reset should have come with the name change.
Sure.
But it didn't, so you're going to have to do it in year 2.
We'll see. I think they're going to be sitting at 6-11, and they're just going to progress to that.
I'm not leaving the studio, Gabe.
Just leave Washington.
Oh, all right. Let's leave Washington. Oh, perfect.
So we have a little bit of time.
Yeah, a little bit of time to go over the hot corner.
But first, let us know what you think about the dumpster fire division in the NFL.
Yeah, and there's a topic in here that I wanted Gabe's opinion on, and we'll start with that one. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Hey, Gabe, did you hear the rumors that Kamaru Usman's going to skip the 185 division in an opportunity to become the champ, go directly up to 205 for his title shot against Prohaska?
I did not hear that.
What are your thoughts on this? I was very intrigued by this.
Wow. So my first thing is that no, he can't, that he's not big enough, but I don't know what he walks around at.
He walks around at 190. Wow, 195.
Like
that's tough. Then.
I don't like you going above your weight to walk around, but I think that Prohaska, Is he
He's the
making that
biggest
choice?
170 some pounder
Yeah,
available.
But walking around at 190,
Yeah.
195
Yeah.
and
I
having to
gotcha.
fight at 205.
I gotcha.
Is he making that choice based on their last fight off of the Prohaska and Glover Teixeira fight?
So there was no allusion or there was nothing that alluded to that fight.
Okay.
The question was
Wow.
the question was, because of Canelo's loss, it doesn't look like that fight's going to materialize because Canelo's got some work to do in boxing and he's not going to be able to take the fun fight, right?
Which I'm glad that was
Correct.
An awful thing.
Totally agree with you.
Who gave a shit? But
Totally
yeah.
agree with you. But the question was, if Kamara still wants to be in the spotlight and he's lapping the division for his second complete time
Right.
at his current weight division and has said he's, the three kings, him, Adesanya, and Ngannou are like the three African princes or whatever they want to call him.
Yeah,
he
so
refuses
won't
to
fight
go up to 180.
Adesanya.
And
Okay.
I think he would lose to Adesanya on length alone.
Yes.
So what is in the cards? And Kamara's his manager, coach, trainer, his camp came out and said 205 is something that we have talked about. And by the way, this isn't the first time his camp has mentioned it. So
Okay. Man,
that's super interesting
how tall
because
is he?
I got
look
it.
it up.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say.
But for me, if Kamara Usman does this and goes to 205, and let's say he beats Prohaska, does he not become the pound for pound greatest fighter ever?
I wonder what. Yeah, I don't know because
He's
does
so
it make
this
you the
here says he's
greatest?
6 feet 177.
Does it
Look
make
at
you the
Prohaska.
greatest because he saw a matchup he can win and take it? You know what I mean? Like
No,
if
but
he's just
nobody's ever skipped it. Nobody's gone up in the UFC 2 weight divisions and ever won a fight, let alone be done it to
6'3",
become
205.
champ.
So he's got 3 inches on him.
I gotta say, I would so much more, and I think I speak for all fans here.
Yeah.
Everyone would rather see him fight Izzy. And I know they
It's
say
not
that.
gonna happen.
I know they say that though, but many people have said that over the years in fighting. Truly, many people have.
But if
That's a big money, if
but
that's
both
a
of those
20
guys
million
are-
bucks each purse,
both of those guys are lapping that division, and Izzy's got a guy in Pereira who's beat him twice,
yep.
who's coming up, and Usman has said he doesn't have a lot of time left with his knees
Yeah.
and some of the other things he has going on. So if Izzy wins this fight, and then he's got to go face Pereira, you're looking at not being able to fight, or Usman not really getting a fight that's worth his legacy until the middle of 2023.
And I know this wouldn't move the needle enough, but as you're talking here, I'm just seeing it. It just feels like such a novelty one-off thing. It's like I'd rather see him fight Robert Whitaker, for instance.
Again for a third
No,
fight?
no. I'm saying Usman. Like, there are many tough fights for him at 185.
But now we're getting into the Conor argument, right? The Conor argument is what fight is smart for the fighter,
Right.
because the fighter doesn't want to do anything that is going to do irreparable necessarily
Yeah, he wants a
damage.
big money fight.
Why would you go to fight Robert Whitaker without there being another title or something you can attain legacy wise on the line?
Totally agree. That's why I'm saying that this one wouldn't move the needle as much, but it's like, God, I don't know. I don't know why I'm so unmoved by that 205 thing, but it doesn't grab me in this like, whoa, I want to see that. I would definitely want to see him fight Izzy. I would definitely, if for some reason Whitaker had the
strap,
belt,
yeah.
yep, I'd much rather see that. But I think Prohaska,
In that fight, who do you got, Gabe?
So do I.
just because of
Whoa.
size.
Whoa.
I just don't think you can overcome that. Everyone thinks that's, I get it when you see Usman's skill set.
He's also
and-
an unbelievable wrestler, and he hasn't had to use it in the last 3 years. He's been so lethal with his hands.
Yeah,
So Prohaska walks around at 216.
Oh, yeah.
and he is.
And
a
Usman
pretty
walks around at
magical striker.
170.
And Prohaska is a good striker. I do think his
I don't know, dude,
reputation
that's-
is elevated by the fact that he just fought a 40-year-old. But
Yeah, but yeah, Glover Teixeira is no regular 40-year-old, but yeah, but I mean he's also like he got that was a brutal fight.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like guys who can stick through that stuff and win. We haven't seen Usman like what's the most he's been tested? I can't even think of him being tested.
Both the Covington fights.
Yeah, I mean, and they were, but it's
And Covington used to fight Covington, who has faced Usman twice, used to walk around at when he first got to American Top Team, where Usman was there. Yeah, he was.
Don't
there.
ask me.
He was
dude.
there with.
I will.
He was there with.
admit
He
not
was.
to know.
He was there with Masvidal, and Colby Covington was a 220-pound wrestler coming out of college. So I'm sure Usman has plenty of experience moving with guys like that. Not to mention, Usman trains with Francis, who's 225.
Yeah, but you got to remember. Look at when Izzy fought
Blachowicz.
Yeah,
Izzy's different.
They look so but a lot of guys when they go up, they look so pedestrian, right? Like I mean, it's fighting is
Unless
so
you're
much
Conor.
about. Yeah, I mean Connor's sort of the
But
one
dude,
guy,
going
but
up 10, 15 pounds
Actually-
from your walk around weight too.
Actually, I'm going to take that back. Remember Connor fighting Diaz the first fight?
Yes.
And he hit him with 4 or 5 of his biggest shots.
And
And to
didn't
see,
even-
it's not nothing.
By the way, update on him now is he's not fighting until 2023. So
He's not
take Connor off
fighting.
the table.
Yeah.
All right. So you've got Prohaska, Mike.
If I were to make a guess, I would say Prohaska as well.
I'm like Brady and Jordan. I'm not betting against him. My money's on Usman.
You just bet against
the
Brady
worst
against
part-
freaking like Daniel Jones earlier today or whoever it was.
I did not.
Dak.
It was
That's
Dak
what it was.
Prescott.
Yeah,
You just
same thing.
You just
Same thing.
mistaken Dak Prescott for Daniel Jones.
What has Dak Prescott got that Daniel Jones doesn't? One playoff win?
I think the worst thing is that even if Usman did go up there and
win?
beat Prohaska, it doesn't, like, yes, it does help his legacy for sure. But it's not one of these just, oh, he's hands down the best all time, I don't think.
Oh,
I don't
how?
think Prohaska, even though we think he's that good, he's not a champion who's defended yet or anything like that. Even though I think he is that good. But I'm just saying, I don't know why. I'm so unmoved by this thing.
Loud noise. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I don't know. All right. Next would be tonight. The NBA draft happens. We did not prep for this at all. What should the Wolves do at 19?
Something good.
Trade it.
You think so?
Trade
For
it.
what?
There's a lot. Have you not been paying attention to a lot of the Timberwolves like news stuff lately?
I mean, some of it. For what?
There has been a lot of trade rumors going around that the Wolves would be trading 19 and D'Angelo Russell to bring back DeJounte Murray from the Spurs and a first-round pick this year and an unprotected first-round pick next year.
If that's straight, I'm doing it right now.
Yeah, I was like, pull that trigger as quick as you can.
Yeah.
I don't know why it hasn't already been done. There was also one for us to go get Clint Capella.
Depends on what the details are, but I'm interested. That puts Cat at the 4, which makes it very interesting.
Yes. Other than that, there wasn't a whole lot of other ones that I saw that struck my interest, but I just wanted to know. I mean, is there a guy is there a guy that you know of coming out of college where you're like, I would trade pieces from Minnesota and that pick to go get him?
Yes, but
Who?
he's going number 1.
Chet Holmgren?
Yeah.
He's not going number 1.
Who's going number 1?
I just read it this morning and I'm blanking on his
Yeah,
name
who's the
now.
best player in this
Chet
draft?
Holmgren.
No. And Orlando's already got an absurd amount of big men. They've drafted post players the last 3 years at the top of the draft.
Chet Holmgren will go number 1. I'm not saying he plays for Orlando.
Oh, you think somebody else is going to come get him?
They're
Yeah,
going to get
makes
the
sense.
trade rights to Chet Holmgren, though, or the draft rights.
That's fair.
You can't pass on he's a generational talent at the 5 spot.
He's also generationally skinny.
Yeah, if Cat goes out and guards him on the perimeter, though, you know what's happening?
What?
Chet's going right around him.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Bruh.
I know Cat doesn't play much defense, but come on now.
He's a cone.
You could turn the fans on.
He's a cone.
You could turn the fans on in most basketball stadiums and blow Chet Holmgren over.
Don't disrespect this dude.
I know he's a Minnesota kid, but God, he is like, dude, I've eaten French fries thicker than him.
Yep. Your French fries couldn't dunk from.
The free throw line? Yeah.
Dude,
All right.
he's insane.
Yeah, I don't know.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Who's the most intriguing prospect this year? Like, this draft does not interest me as much.
No, there's
purely
no
because the Timberwolves are at 19 as well and not like 5.
good.
But why do we even care about this year's draft class? Like, who is there to care about other than Chet Holmgren?
The kid from Duke is really good.
There's always a kid from Duke. And I mean, how often do they truly pan out?
I also think there's going to be but there's a potential for some blockbuster stars to be traded tonight on teams that are looking to reset There we go.
So
Jabari.
the Banchero kid is from Duke.
Yep. The guy that's supposed to be going number 1, Jabari Smith, Auburn, 6'10" power forward. That's who they think is going. That's what I heard today.
I think it's going to be Chet. So scroll down to like 1920, Gabe. Let's just see who
let's
like the
just
Timberwolves
see.
are even.
Mark Williams. I'd take Johnny Davis out of Wisconsin at 19 if he falls.
What do we need? Like what actual position would you say?
To be honest, what I would like to add is an
Who's this?
imposing big man.
Yeah, but you're gonna have to trade for that. There isn't one in the draft.
I mean, I don't know much about
Mark Williams.
Duran if he drops.
Mark Williams from Duke. Yeah, I guess he's on the board too, and he's 7'2". I mean, that's a big cat.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know.
Only other center. Next one, we got Walker Kessler from Auburn.
I'm not sold on him. Orlando Robinson either from Fresno's got a good program, but he's 6'11". We say that like it's short.
I know, that's what I was gonna say. Here's a 7-footer from Arizona, Christian Coloco.
Yeah, but
he's 221
so
pounds.
I don't know if it's just because I didn't pay as much attention to like
there's no
college basketball,
studs
but like
this year.
Johnny Juzang was ridiculous for UCLA, and he's at 50. There's just no names I even recognize.
Yeah, there isn't. There isn't any names.
And
Scottie
the next
Pippen Jr.
7-footer.
That's a name.
Is that his kid?
Yep. No,
would
it's
get
not
him.
his kid. It's a different Scottie Pippen Jr. Nicholas.
I would get him in the
Look
second round if he's available. I'd go get Pippen Jr.
Hey,
Just
I like
'cause.
this one.
Yeah.
How about Kofi Cockburn?
He's actually pretty
7
good.
feet, 293
Yeah,
pounds.
he's actually decent.
Is he really?
Yeah.
almost 300 pounds, dude. There's your
Because
imposing big man.
what I like about Kofi though is the Big Ten plays a slower paced game,
Yeah.
and he was
A
pretty
slower
good
paced guy.
for Illinois. Yeah.
Yeah.
Check out this dude, John Butler, 7'1", 174 pounds.
All right,
Are
so
you sure that
that's
doesn't say Chet Holmgren?
John Butler. Holy crap. I got to look him up.
I'm doing it right now. Florida State. I want to see how skinny this dude is.
Yeah, I got to find him. I already forgot his name. Was it Cockburn?
Oh my god.
Oh my lord.
What's his name again?
John Butler, Florida State. He is very skinny.
This
Bruh.
dude could hula hoop with a Cheerio.
Whoa. This dude cannot play in the NBA.
No, he's gonna break.
Very thin.
I
very
think
thin.
he makes Manute Bull look husky for real. Or even Sean Bradley.
Dude, look at this photo. Like that's supposed to be a compression sleeve shirt as a D1 athlete.
Oh, I want to get this on
So that one
screen.
right there, Gabe,
Which
go up a little bit, and then the far left, him shooting. That's a compression shirt that's supposed to be tight to your arm, and he's a Division One athlete.
Yeah, that's not great, son.
Wow.
Did this kid just like, as D1 athletes, they get meal stipends, right?
God, I hope so.
Jesus.
This guy needs an NIL from like Doritos.
This
Yeah.
it's very like, who's the last freak tall big man who's actually worked in the NBA? Who really
I truly think the next one is going to be Chet Holmgren.
Okay.
Like his skill set is not just a center. Like he
No.
can truly dribble. He can dribble the floor.
Chet
He can-
Holmgren is Kristaps Porzingis. Now let's see if Chet can stay healthy. That's the
I
comparison.
think Chet can shoot a little bit better too.
You got to remember, Porzingis could shoot
I know.
originally.
I
and
know.
then he
I
got
know what I
had all
said.
those injuries.
I know what I said.
And here I'm going to show this just for the audience. This is the
Yeah, this is absurd.
so that is a compression shirt you're saying, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like it to me. That looks like a
Right.
short sleeve compression, like a dry fit Nike shirt.
Wow.
Am I wrong? That looks like that to you, right?
Yeah.
And then
Good Lord.
I'm going to put and then Chet.
Chet's really skinny too. I mean, Chet's got 20 pounds on him.
And where did he come from? You said
He's from Minnesota.
He went to Minnehaha Academy.
Yeah.
I wonder where he grew up.
North side of the cities, I believe.
Really? I was gonna guess like Wayzata, Eden Prairie, somewhere where there's money that he can use for. It's
for special pants.
well for
Special
training.
Yeah. Kid's been a phenom forever. I've been seeing videos of Chet Holmgren for 5 years.
He has actual like ball skills and
Yes.
stuff like that too.
He's He's ridiculous.
He took on Stephen Curry in a 1-on-1 at a camp.
He was the #1 overall recruit in the nation.
Yeah.
And now he's going to go #1 overall.
Hey, by the way,
draft.
did he stay?
He's one of those
did he
guys.
stay in Minnesota?
Nope.
Oh wait, how about Jalen Suggs? Did Jalen Suggs, as the #1 recruit, stay in Minnesota?
You're going to give me a heart attack, Nicholas. No, he did not.
Weird.
I'm going to put up this Holmgren one real quick. So you
Programs
can,
are ass.
whatever, show the people for anyone who doesn't know. So he played Minnehaha Academy.
It said it says that he grew up in Minneapolis too.
Yep.
So.
And okay, and he played where college?
Gonzaga.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay, hey Minnehaha, how about do this kid some justice and buy him a longer shirt?
Now that's a schmedium.
That's probably a large.
Crazy.
Wow. Yeah, he looks long. I just can't imagine that
Yeah.
dude playing against certain guys.
It's-
with the
but
Minnehaha.
But it's
Then
the
again-
ball skills that's going to separate him.
Okay.
True, and you got to remember the NBA is different now. Shaq does not exist in today's NBA.
But if he played against Shaq, let's say Shaq was transported to today's NBA,
don't start.
Chet Holmgren takes him out on the perimeter. Nick.
Don't.
Shaq can't keep up with him.
Have you ever seen the video of like the guy who puts his hand on the forehead of his little brother and then he just can't move?
Bruh.
Like-
Do we need, you know what? We have time.
No, we don't. Because we got the A's and the Rays on the move.
Who cares?
I do.
Why?
Because Rob
It's
Manfred,
good for baseball if they move because hopefully there's actually some money in those teams.
That's
then.
what I want to talk about.
Okay, good. We're agreeing. Now let's watch Chet Holmgren highlights.
No. Because last time we pulled up unsolicited highlights, our video
Yeah.
got flagged.
Fair enough.
All right.
Look into Chet Holmgren.
Look, yeah.
He's going to go #1 tonight.
He's not. You want to put a bet on it?
I'll bet you $1.
Loser.
Oh.
Listen, loser has to come on next week's show with a clean shaved face.
No, I said $1. Do you want to take the
Clean
bet or not?
shaved face.
All right, I'm not doing that.
Is there a trade that you could make if you're GM of the Wolves? Is there a trade you could make that make it sense to bring that guy in?
If I was playing 2K, yeah.
I mean,
to be
to
honest,
me, that
Like,
trade.
saying
you're moving
like
on
in
from
reality.
You're moving on from Cat at that point, in my
No,
opinion.
to me, that trade has
Okay.
to look like.
How about that as an option? Would you trade Cat and something else?
We
Or
never
whatever
would
and
though.
get
Like
something
that.
else?
That's the thing. Is it?
Well,
It's outside of the realm of realistic.
Actually, with Cat, do a Supermax, I would do it. I would offer it, actually. I would make that call tonight. With Cat being do a Supermax contract,
Would
I
Orlando
would make
take
that
him
call. Yeah, probably.
straight up for #1?
No. You're probably going to have to go Cat and
D'Angelo
Malik's.
or
no,
Malik
Cat and Malik Beasley, and then a pick next year
for
to
Chet
get Chet.
Holmgren right now.
To get Chet right now. And you keep your 19 this year.
And then you have two guys, a young core that is pretty electric, possibly.
You got Wiggs and Chet Holmgren, or not Wiggs.
I would
Edwards.
take Wiggs back so fast.
So you got Edwards and Chet Holmgren, and then you have D'Angelo as another trade piece.
Then
So
go
you
get-
could still do that
In 10
D'Lo
years
for
of blue
DeJounte
sky.
Murray trade. So you have DeJounte Murray, Anthony Edwards, and Chet Holmgren.
Yeah.
Maybe not this year, but in 2 years. Holy shit!
Yeah.
Holy shit!
That's not bad. All right. Now can we talk about the A's and the Rays?
Yeah, we can.
All right. You want to put that image back up for me there,
But
Gabe?
like even A's and Rays fans don't care. That's why we're talking about them.
That's part of the point here. So Rob Manfred, when asked about this the other day, said we are getting to the point, whatever region that has interest in having 162 games, they need to get to it because the leases are ending on both of these. If you're not watching this, actually, I would suggest hop on over to our Facebook page right now and take a look at this because what we have up on the screen are actually the proposed designs for both ballparks. The waterfront park in Oakland, and then an actual tear down and rebuild of the Rays Stadium.
Tropicana Field. Also, I've been to Tampa. Where the field is in a
Weird.
really weird spot.
weird
It's
spot.
right over a long bridge that you ride over, and it's like tucked in the corner. It's kind of tough to get to. It's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if you're looking at this image on the bottom left-hand corner where the A's is, it looks like it's got a cool little backdrop.
That's center field. It looks like if you reference the right photo, huh?
Yes, it is.
Where it drops down there.
Yep. Which is actually kind of a cool design, right? For a ballpark.
So I'm gonna be my nerdy self.
Yep.
So I was legitimately playing the show last night, and what I've been playing right now is a my player. So I just
Yeah.
control one dude. Had a series in Oakland,
Yes.
and I was watching the intro of the game.
7
and everything,
fans.
right? That's not what I was going to say. But yeah, there were very few fans, even in a video game. But like, what clicked to me was like, this is the Raiders' old stadium.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't even the A's stadium, really.
So
that's if the Twins still, to
Played in
this
the
day,
dome.
played in the dome. That's weird.
So here's the thing. If I'm Oakland, why on God's green earth, if I'm the A's, would I want to stay in Oakland?
You don't.
Why would I want to stay in
You flat out do not.
Because there are two proposals right now for the A's, one of which is in Oakland. Guess where the other one is? Guess. What city has been accumulating sports teams lately?
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas.
And I
It's the
would
only one
be
that makes
there
sense.
in a heartbeat. If
God,
you
but
l-
They
Nicholas,
should
can
be.
you imagine playing?
Absolutely.
But counterpoint. If they go to Vegas, do they have to play inside?
No, an outdoor stadium.
You're going to play July games in the dead of the summer in the desert?
Oof.
Bruh.
It's a dry heat.
So
So is a
I'm
fucking
joking.
Bunsen burner,
I'm
but if I put that on your face, you're going to burn.
Yeah.
people, but they attend the NASCAR races outdoors in Vegas.
I don't know, man. That's
You're acting like they don't play football in Florida outside in August
I get it.
or in Texas.
I understand, but
Does North Carolina have it? What? Like, am I blanking on a Carolina team?
No, they
Huh.
don't. They don't. So that was my thing. So the A's have it narrowed down to two places. And if
there's
I'm
a lot of teams on the East Coast, though.
if I'm Oakland, I'm out of Oakland. I'm like, build me a stadium in Vegas. Vegas has the money. Vegas has the investors. Vegas is rapidly
Does
expanding.
Oakland just really need a new owner, though, that's willing to spend money?
I don't necessarily think so. I just think they're kind of
I've seen
the
Moneyball.
situation that they have. If I'm the Rays, however, you know what I'm looking at? Nebraska, Tennessee, and Portland. Nebraska doesn't have a pro sports team. If you
And
got
never
them,
will.
if you
There's
got
14 people in the whole state.
that's not true. I've been to Nebraska plenty of times. If you put the stadium somewhere between Lincoln and Omaha, they'd have a very loyal fan base. Is that ideal? No. Portland, same thing. Not necessarily ideal. However, Nashville needs a baseball team. Like, you want to talk about like a demographic that's built for baseball? Like the country music scene, young, like Tennessee makes a ton of sense if I'm Tampa's ownership.
You guys want the right answer now?
Yes,
Because I've got it.
sure.
I mean, I'm summoning the courage to say it.
Minnesota?
Honolulu, something. Hawaii.
So the other,
Okay,
if you're going to go
actually,
that way,
Edmonton is what I was going to
Do
say.
you want to know my honest answer?
you can't put another team in Canada with the COVID restrictions these days.
Cut them both.
We were, okay, so this kind of goes back to the conversation me and you
It
had in the
does,
car
it
the other
does.
day. So
Hmm.
Get rid of them both.
I was going to say cut them.
Not both.
Yeah.
Because one can go to Vegas easily.
Yes, I
Sure.
would agree
Vegas
with that,
can
Sure.
absolutely sustain it.
But then you're at 29 teams.
which is an odd number.
I don't understand the economics of the major leagues these days
I
because
don't either.
Look at the two
You-
teams who have the least amount of income and payroll and get rid of those two teams.
The Twins?
yeah, I was going to
No,
say
they're
that.
like 10th.
But we were
They're
just
not,
talking.
they're not as far down as we think.
The Baltimore Orioles?
I mean, Oakland would be one of them.
Why don't we push at this sounds weird, but they did it. They've done it in other leagues. Why not push them together? Why not take a couple of the lowest teams instead of cutting two? Why not take
Because
four
then you have
teams and
29.
push 'em?
Oh, yeah. You'd have to take the lowest four.
Yeah, so Baltimore, the A's, the Rays, and give me the Pirates. Push Baltimore and the Pirates
actually
together.
have a very loyal fan base.
They do. So push.
That fills stadiums even when they're bad. So I don't know if that's. I'll look it up quick.
I know they do. Pat McAfee complains about it on the show all the time. He had "sell the team, damn it" trending on Twitter last year when the Pirates were real bad.
Montreal.
You can't, like I said, you can't put another team in Canada with the COVID restrictions. these
Okay,
days.
fine. Here's the best one ever.
Okay.
And this is the best one ever.
Okay.
Havana. And I'm serious.
Yeah.
They could do it. We're now open. We can travel with them now.
How about
Yeah.
Miami?
Havana
Getting
would
rid of
be,
Miami.
Havana Q would be great.
It'd be incredible.
There's so many teams.
The
in
least
Florida
valuable
already.
teams in the MLB. Number 30, Miami Marlins. Number
Yeah.
29, Tampa Bay. 28 is Kansas City.
Yeah.
27, Pirates. 26, Diamondbacks.
They don't have to contract.
Oakland's 25.
Right.
Where
They
are
don't
the
have to
Rays?
contract. We're just saying. And by the way, Gabe, you know what? I was looking at a website the other night, and I'll send it to you afterwards. Do you know what other cities have actually put in applications for ball teams? The Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico.
I mean, those would be phenomenal.
Puerto Rico, San
Salt Lake
Juan. You
City
put
is
a
what
team
I
in
was
San
thinking
Juan.
of.
San Juan, Puerto Rico would be a great spot for a ball club.
I think that Havana or
Yeah.
Havana, Cuba would
Havana,
be.
Cuba would be great.
I mean, for real, that would be a perennial sellout.
But then it's the whole argument of like you're putting a American team in a different country kind of a thing.
Well, that's why I think Puerto Rico is the great compromise.
Yeah,
Calling me
agreed.
a globalist. Let's see. Oh, Indianapolis. I don't think of
I don't think of India as a
They have a
baseball
AAA
town.
ball team though.
Yeah, they do.
The Indians.
Hmm.
That's the Pirates
Memphis.
Yep,
AAA
Tennessee.
affiliate. See,
I
a
can
lot of
see
these
that.
like mid-market teams though already have AAA ball clubs too.
New
New
Orleans.
Orleans. I've never thought of that.
New Orleans also doesn't strike me as a baseball city. They can barely get it right with Zion and basketball. They don't need any more stress. Cooperstown. Now, here's the thing. Cooperstown, New York makes sense, but I don't know if you can squeeze another ball club into the Mets-Yankees market.
That was kind of my whole argument with the Carolinas
Ooh.
too. Is like you have a lot of teams on that East Coast.
You got a lot of
Monterey,
teams on the West Coast.
Mexico.
Where are you drawing fans from?
Yeah, New Mexico wouldn't be bad.
Mexico.
Oh,
I
Mexico.
mean, Monterey, Mexico. That'd be phenomenal, man. Like that
Yeah.
again, sell out like that, and you would just bring.
See, if
If
you
you
were
wanna
going to go
grow your
Mexico
game.
though, I think you go Mexico City.
Yeah,
I think Monterey's more like up, whatever,
not
upscale.
owned by,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
owned by the cartel.
less cartelish.
Yeah,
Although that's probably not true anymore. I'm sure they're all Tijuana.
yeah.
No,
Let's not. No,
Don't ever
way.
fucking do that. What the fuck?
Tijuana,
Santo Domingo.
Dominican Republic, San Juan,
San
Puerto
Juan,
Rico.
Puerto Rico would be great.
Puerto Rico,
That's a
Mike.
U.S. protectorate. Tokyo.
Yeah,
See, I
that's
think
too
if
much.
you're gonna go,
Tokyo's
I
too
think
much.
if you're
Too
gonna go
far.
outside of like the contiguous 48, the most realistic would be San Juan
Yeah,
because you're not gonna go Hawaii. Even a San Francisco Giants, that's a what
that's a long
6-hour flight?
Yeah. But no, if I'm the
Hawaii's what,
Rays,
6 hours.
I'm just saying from like the East Coast because I think or
Right.
West Coast because I think it's from here. It's like 13, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah, it's a long
okay,
way.
now the Yankees are playing the Honolulu
No, I'm
Luau's, and it's
done
a
with that one. I'm all
24-hour flight.
about Havana or Vancouver.
Havana over San Juan though.
Yeah, well, yeah, because there's baseball history there.
Yeah, there's a ton of base.
I mean, Puerto Rico obviously has a ton of like players and history, but Cuba, it is their national.
Yeah.
It's all they got.
You know, the Rays were trying to take they wanted to take
I mean,
half
should
their
do both.
they wanted to take half their season into a different market. You know what I mean? So like, why not give them? I think the fair compromise is putting them in San Juan or San Juan, Puerto Rico, or Havana, Cuba. I think that's a great answer, guys.
I think both teams
And
like,
move
both
Oakland to
teams
Las
should go.
Vegas.
And move Oakland to Las Vegas. Yes,
Hey, here's my
So loyal
proposal.
fans can still be loyal fans.
close.
Add 4 teams.
Oh,
and
God.
God,
Put
no.
one in Mexico, one in Puerto Rico. I think it'd be phenomenal for the game.
I think the 30 teams is almost poor for the game because you have guys like,
You got guys hitting 170 on major league rosters right now.
yeah,
No,
look at the
it's
batting
true.
average.
You gotta
That shows it shows that the ball could be made differently, but it also shows the dilution of talent.
Yeah.
in the
I would
major
agree.
leagues.
I would agree.
So you add
Sweet.
4 more, it gets
Even worse.
the league batting average drops 20 more points.
The ERA goes up.
So
I don't think it's that simple though, because you do give opportunity to more guys who do transcend their spot too. I mean, I hear what you're
That's why they
saying.
have the
I just think
minors.
it'd be the same. That's all.
Well, that's why every club has 3 minor league teams. So they have
4 technically because you have a low A as well.
you have a low A. So 4 times 30 is what?
120 players
There's already
in farm systems times 30.
That's a lot.
So
A lot of players.
It's actually more shameful that none of us made the major leagues.
Yeah,
now that you
very
think of
much
it
so.
that way.
Very
there's
much so.
3,000 plus minor leaguers out there right now.
And we're not any of them.
We were not even considered.
Nope.
And then there's, in theory, 25 times 30, almost 700 major league ball players.
Yeah.
So almost 4,000
Ball players. Like
that are getting
professional-
paid to play.
Professional ball players.
And that's just in the MLB system.
Our
a
odds
lot.
were actually pretty good.
yeah, they were.
I swear hockey's the best odds, though. The fact that I graduated with 2 kids that are like in the NHL shows me that.
Yeah.
One of them was a supreme athlete. That's what I'll say,
Yep.
to be nice.
All right. Well, I think that's all we got for the show today, boys.
Yeah.
Great show, Gabe. Well done.
Good show. You guys too. I thought it was fun.
Oh, thanks, man. Make sure you tune in with us next week as we may have a special guest in Nash Walker with us as we approach the MLB trade deadline and the All-Star break. We will be preparing, and I'll give Mike a little bit of a heads up here, for a major UFC card that is going to be happening that we'll be able to cover next week as well. Ryan Garcia's fight is coming up at some point in the near future. We might be covering that. And then next week, pick a division that we haven't covered yet, Mike.
Have we covered the NFC West?
No.
No.
We have not.
Let's do that one.
All right, let's do the NFC West next week as well. So, Mike, if they want to share this great show with their friends so they can come in and watch all this incredible content that we're going to put forward next week, what platform should we be on?
As always, guys, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Spotify, Twitter,
YouTube,
Patreon, and Twitch.
And MCN6 on Saturdays after 10 o'clock. If you are not in the Minnesota market, you can download and get that on the Roku app. As always, glad to have everybody with you. Thanks for tuning in. Take care. Stay safe. Have fun. No fires in the studio this week that rushed us off air.
MBC. No relation to NBC.